Welcome in everybody. My name is Mitch and welcome back to my weekly video on Jamie's channel. And I'm back. As many of you guys know, I've just spent 2 weeks in Japan, so I missed out on the videos for a few weeks and Matty T took over from the first one and then had some real life stuff come up in the second week. So I'm back. I've made a return. My ranks dropped heaps. I had a great time. It was good to get away and have a really good holiday. My first ever real genuine holiday like that. And I'm sure maybe in the comments we can have a yarn. I don't want to take too much time on the video talking about it. It's fantasy and football only, and that is the way I like it. So I'm back. It's exciting. I can't wait. I've been looking forward to jumping on and let all my anger out. I've been on holiday for so long, it seems, that I've had no one to talk footy and fantasy with, and my rank just seems to be going down and down. I don't really want to toot my own horn or anything, but I've spent a long time at the top of the rank. So sitting at 8,000, this has been recorded after about an hour and a bit after the Eels Tigers Easter Monday game. So sitting at rank 8,248 before updates and anything is a bit different for me. It is pretty deflating. Fantasy and stuff is really, really stressful when you're doing well, and I take this stuff way too serious. So sitting at this rank is not that great for me. I aim to be pretty high, but the challenge will be how can I bounce back? What moves and more fun picks can I do to try to maybe not win this thing anymore, but still do well? It's something I'm looking forward to, and I haven't been in this position, probably since I first started. So it's tough to get up for, but I am pretty keen. So yeah, getting into it, I'm not really too sure where I'm going to go with this video. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just going to talk off my head and see what we can come up with. That's really how I like to do this. As many of you guys know, I don't really analyze things too much or go too heavy into the numbers. I play it by ear, and maybe that's why I'm doing super bad at fantasy right now. But yeah, this week I scored 982. Like I said before, updates are still to come, so I'm not too sure where I'm going to end up. But it's fine. I haven't really been on social media or anything like that, but I can imagine that there's been some monster scores. I got dudded in that last game, and all of a sudden Hopgood's like a 39-minute prop. He's not even a lock anymore. He was a hooker 2 weeks ago. Now he's a 39-minute player. Oh, I'll get into that soon. But sitting at rank 8,248. And what I kind of wanted to do was go back a few weeks to when I was getting ready to go on holidays in Japan, what I actually did, what grades did I do, because I didn't really get to communicate with anybody, and I don't really do that anyway when it comes to what I'm going to do and trades and stuff like that. The only really person that I managed to talk to was Matty Thompson, and we talk all the time, nearly daily it seems. I don't know how he's not sick and tired of me yet. So yeah, we went back and forth a little bit talking about some things, and that's what I want to get into really soon. And in regards to Mr. Toby Couchman, and there's actually quite an interesting story to that, which I will get into pretty soon. So before the last video I did was round four, and round five I didn't actually quite get to. And as you can see, at 7:29, this was abysmal. Thank God I didn't end up doing the video this week because it was horrible. This was one of the worst fantasy weeks I've ever had. And as you can see, my rank dropped to 8,000. I was sitting at about 3,800 to 8,000. Humphreys obviously got knocked out that week or with the hamstring, but everybody owned him. This was when Hopgood just, I don't even know what the right words to say for YouTube. I don't want to get Jamie in trouble, but yeah, Hopgood was really, really bad. I actually played Cole. I remember this too. Like I played Cole. I didn't loop him. That was just horrendous. So that was a really, really tough week. And then round six, I was actually in Japan. So yeah, there's actually quite a good story to this, and I just want to jump over to my little trade window, and I'll get into the trades I've made this week and all that sort of stuff. I just want to kind of go back to round six with these trades, and there's quite an interesting story with Toby Couchman. So in round six, I did Jack Cole and Jamie Humphreys to Fogarty and Couch. So obviously I had a lot of cash left over. I went double cheapy the week before. Of course I trade Iongi, and now he's a bit of a superstar. Brought in Jenkins, he's doing a job, a lot less of a job this week. And Dylan Egan, I was really, really high on, and now, he looks like a genuine keeper to a degree. But this Toby Couchman trade was actually Kai Pearce-Paul the entire week. I was on a tour bus on the way to Kyoto in Japan at the time, and it was about 40 minutes before the Dragons game. And I just got FOMO for some reason. It was Kai Pearce-Paul and Fogarty the entire week. And I was pretty high on KPP, and I still really am. And then as soon as the team list come out, Egan was to start. I said, okay, cool, I'll play him, just like many of you probably did. And then for some reason, I just got massive, massive Toby Couchman FOMO, and I never get like that. I'm not the type of I'm normally my trades and everything is set straight away on a Monday, Tuesday morning type thing. But I got FOMO, so I didn't make the KPP trade, and I made the Toby Couchman trade. And I didn't get to watch any games while I was overseas, by the way, guys. I didn't watch any football. I wasn't up to date. I didn't get to listen to any podcasts or watch Jamie's videos. It was nothing. So when I was in the WhatsApp group and I was like, guys, just try to update me. I could barely check the scores because of the Wi-Fi that I had during the times when I was traveling. And I just said, guys, just update me as best as you can. Be pretty descriptive with what you say. You know, if there's an offload, things like that, let me know. And like 6 minutes into the game, I still haven't watched it. Couchman was like limping and heavily injured. Everyone's like, oh, Couchman's gone, Couchman's gone. And I was just like, yep, this is why my rank is where it is. Like I could just so unlucky. But this trade has actually turned out to be insane. Couchman all of a sudden is looking like an elite keeper. And I got him at 648 that week, and now he's going to be, 740 odd K. So I'm really happy with those trades. And I'll quickly touch on my round seven trades coming back to here. So as you guys can see, I traded out Tamale, which definitely is a mistake. I think it was either Tamale or Sandon Smith, and I should have done Sandon. I said, I was overseas, I was on holiday. I didn't really have too much time to think about it. I was having 14, 15-hour days pretty much over there. So I traded out Tamale, which definitely was a mistake. Hindsight's one thing. But he's just too similar to Jenkins. They just don't get the ball. And when they do get the ball, they're electric. And I traded him out, so I'm going to have to wear that one. It's definitely a mistake on my end. Seyfarth, I traded, and Fish unfortunately got injured. There's another story there with Fisher Harris. I was in a line at Disneyland when they played Melbourne. And I was like, guys, just let me know how Fish goes. I mean, I can't really, no reception or whatever. And in the WhatsApp group, someone's like, oh, Fish offload. And I'm like, sweet. And then it was, oh, shoulder. And then they say Fish off. And I said, yeah, that's just awesome. And then I had to finish my day at Disneyland. So that wasn't ideal, Fish injury. And I brought in Hugo Savala, Faraz, which is so fun, and then Jacob Preston. So the reason I went for Raz and Preston was just I was originally on Fafita, like probably everybody, and then he got injured. But I was also really keen on Preston too. I haven't really done too much buy planning. I'll be honest, I have done zero. Um, I've just been so deflated with my fantasy season so far, and maybe I'm going to move over to the fun picks instead of being strategic and just pick players I like to watch. And that's why I jumped on Karaz. I actually didn't own him at all last year. He was very heavily owned, as many of you guys can, if you can remember from a year ago. And pretty much everybody owned him. Everybody competitively owned Karaz last year, so I was death riding him. And I thought, you know what? He fits the fun to play category. I'm not having a great season. I'm talking like it's, round 27. It was round six, round seven at the time. I'm just being a bit dramatic, which, it can happen. And I thought, well, he's got the duel. He'll play every major buy round. So will Preston. I don't think these guys will play Origin. Obviously the chance is there. And I think they're great players, and I think there's a world they do play Origin. I'm just thinking that they won't. I went early on them. Preston, I really wanted him in the preseason, and I went Hopgood over him, and Hopgood's going next week anyway. I should have traded him a few weeks ago. I held the faith that he's going. And Karaz, I needed a wing fullback just so I didn't have to play like a Jenkins or a Tamale and have them actually be a major part of my back line. And now all of a sudden, I'm playing center roulette again with these duds who just played about 2 hours ago and they were rubbish. So I went Karaz. I actually didn't get to watch this game because I was on a plane back home. So again, I got the free Wi-Fi while I was on the plane. All that worked was Messenger and WhatsApp, and my WhatsApp was a bit laggy, so I was on the phone to Matt Thompson and I said, mate, what's going on? Tell me what Preston and Karaz are going. And I was like, sweet, okay. Then I watched the game, and yeah, Karaz was unreal. I love that offloading play. I love how he's just a freak, wants to offload the ball at every single touch, and it just fits the fun to play category. And that's kind of why I picked him. I suggest with Jaden Campbell going down this week, a lot of people will probably pivot to him, or like a Drinkwater type. And I think that's a great choice. He's at 1.8% now. It won't be that for that long. I think that's going to double, maybe even triple by kickoff on Thursday night against my Broncos. So Colin Preston was really fun too. He, scored a try, just made 41 tackles, didn't miss any. And it was really good to watch back the game knowing that I got those two guys in. And they've got Karaz has the duel as well. So I've got my centers there, Karaz and Garrick now. And I can kind of work my magic and try to get some gun wing fullbacks so I don't have to try and play these duds all the time. So this week as well, I did loop Hubner. So I looped him through Purdue. If he scored well, which he was on track to, that category one HIA in 20 minutes. So it was 23 and 20 when I watched it back. And yeah, I wouldn't have played Jenkins then. So I took the punt on Jenkins over any of the Roosters halves just because I thought, well, if Jenkins goes low, it's in the 20s, 20 to plus kind of thing. Whereas if he goes high with it, he's an offloader. If he gets a try, that's going to be a 40 odd. And it wasn't that he didn't score a try; it's that he didn't get the ball, and they just didn't go left. This week, it wasn't because Casey McLean didn't pass to him. It's because the ball didn't go past Blaze Talangi. It makes that right side of Penrith so much more exciting. I know Isaac Tago's been a bit of a dud, but Penrith just don't go left. Like Blaze Talangi is a ghost out there. So yeah, Jenkins was a hard watch. I still think the trade in of him a few weeks ago was fine. I don't think it was a bad process or anything. I just think it's the fact that they're just not getting the ball. You see what Tamale did. The first 20 to 25 minutes of that game, Tamale looked like he was going to go lower. And then as soon as he gets the ball, he offloads and tackle breaks. And Jenkins is the same. He's got that junk offload in a sense where he just throws it out. In real life, it's not great, but in fantasy, it's elite. And that's why Hopgood kind of saved his score this week because for some reason, Jason Riles thinks he's a hooker, and now he played the first 24 minutes and then didn't come back on for until like 13 minutes or something. It's something ridiculous. I think the Luca Moretti sin bin didn't help. Hopgood probably would have replaced him. I'm so grateful I get out of there with a 48 because he's going next week. I held the faith like many others didn't, thinking I could be rewarded. And when he was named at 13 with Riley Smith starting, I got really, really excited for him to then come out and play 39 minutes. So he's only going to lose about 20K. I'm trading him. I don't know who I'm trading him to yet. Next week's a bit of a tricky week for me. My team's just rubbish. Every other team's just so much better than mine. Parramatta on the bye, and then Hubner has the HIA. I'm just saying it out loud now. So, it's here on YouTube. It's here for the proof. I'm playing Purdue next week. I actually haven't played him. I looped him one of these early rounds, but I haven't outright started him yet. I'm going to play him this week. I'm going to need to. I've got two on the bye and then Hubner out, but I will be trading Hopgood. So I'm playing Purdue this week. He's earned it. So expect him to go pretty low because that's what the Mitch curse is. And I'm rubbish at fantasy this year. So other than that, I'm doing okay. I don't have much money in the bank. And were a few other things that I did want to talk about too that are pretty interesting and something that I think why I'm struggling a little bit this year. And again, like I don't want to harp on it too much, but a lot of people will see this rank and think it's pretty good. And that's, I'm not trying to come across arrogant or anything like that, not at all. It's just, this is how I let out my frustrations. I'm just used to, doing a lot better. This is still fine and I still have time to move up and I hope I will. But yeah, so I don't really mean to come off rude or if anything, if that's how some of you guys have taken it. I'm just more so having a laugh at myself. So, and one thing that I did want to kind of talk about was why I'm not doing as well as I normally do. And I think it's because of the people and the players in fantasy that I haven't gotten in my side. And I actually made a note of it earlier with this watch list here. So I've kind of just gone through and put a star on obviously not the people that I have in my side, but these is everybody that I don't own that has made over 100K. And just the more popular options that people started with more so than what they've picked up recently. Like Wade Egan, obviously not highly owned. So I don't really want to harp on him too much, but Corey Horsburgh is the massive one. He's pretty much owned by everybody. Um, I know this number's 20%, but I'm talking people watching this video, people in the rankings, in the leagues that I'm in, everybody owns Horsburgh, and I don't. And that was a mistake. Round one, I had the option to go to him somehow. I didn't trade. I saved those trades, which, hopefully work out. But I'm the type of fantasy player who plays really, really aggressive. Like, that's just the truth. Like, I max trade. I use a lot of trades early, and I've only saved three so far, two in round one, and then round two, I only used one trade. And Corey Horsburgh in the past, when I've done really well, would be someone that I wouldn't have ripped my team apart by no means. But I would have found a way to get them in. Whether or not it's a sideways trade at the time, hindsight's a crazy thing, but I would have got him in. Another one is Matty Nicholson, who I was pretty when I was doing the videos and when he was up at that 500K, I thought, oh, it's a bit of a risk. He could do it, he could not. We don't know. And I didn't do it. But in years gone by, I would have taken the risk. If it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off. But if it does, he makes 155K from when everybody brings him in, and he's been scoring like a machine. So that's why I'm looking at all these teams, and they've 300K more expensive than mine. And Horsburgh's making a big difference. Nafahu White is another one. Obviously, I started with Jamie Humphrey, so that's fine. Nafahu White has just been a weapon, like 415K or something silly from memory. He started the season. He was in most of my preseason drafts, and I didn't take him. And yeah, he's averaging 52. He's a keeper through the bye periods, and he's made 200K plus. Missing these guys is what is really hurting my side, considering I started with Hopgood, who's, like 6 points underpriced. He's been a bit of a dud the last few weeks. I jumped on Payne Haas, when he like round 3 or 4 after he went nuclear. So I've lost points on that really in a sense. So a lot of these guys I've gotten not wrong, but I've missed out on. And in years gone by, I would have taken the risk, being super aggressive. I've been more passive this start of this season, and I've gone, okay, what can I've tried to be really smarter in a sense, but I've kind of hurt myself. Thomas Kant was another massive one. I was so keen on, like inside the four walls of myself, not really live to you guys, or maybe more in the DMs with some of my close mates. I was all over him, and I didn't take him, and he's gone on and he's going to make another 150K give or take, but he's been scoring so well. Tom Starling, most of these other guys, obviously I sold Tamale, but he's on the list. Mainly, those three are the guys that I've missed who's really, really hurt me. And it's a long season, there's still 20, 19, 20 odd rounds, but it's going to be really, really hard to make ranks up, with everyone's team value being really, really high. And I'm going to have to take some risks. And that's kind of why I picked up Karaz, because watching him I think before I left, he scored like 44 or something, in nothing, run meters and then offloads. And I thought, okay, fits the fun to play, fun to watch category. Pretty low ownership, obviously low this week, won't be from next week, but I thought, he should stay relatively low whole season, plays the major buy rounds, why not? And that was a risk to me. I couldn't quite afford Jaden Campbell. One of my options as well this week was Jaden Campbell, Hugo Savala, and Kai Pearce-Paul, but I was 1K short. So I went this way because I could afford it. It was originally Karaz and Fafita with like 80K in the bank. As soon as he got ruled out, I went straight to Preston, and I'm happy with that. I wanted Preston initially anyway. So that's a little bit on just me talking out loud without really statistics or anything in front of me. That's more of just, how I feel. I've been playing Captain Roulette for the past few weeks. I captained May this week. Last week was Cleary, and the week before that was Haas, which I don't like. I don't normally do that. I think I'm just going to leave it on May for now. Cleary did go nuclear, but, center roulette, Captain Roulette, it's not great. It's not really how I play fantasy normally, but to be fair, like we've never really had a season where we've had three legitimate big dog captains. And that's not even including Isaiah Yo, who's a 60 guy. So I think I might just leave it on May for the foreseeable future because, yeah, you don't want to be playing roulette with your team because you'll end up hurting yourself. Luckily, they all went well this week. So if you picked Haas, you only missed out on like 10 points or whatever the actual number is. So that's kind of where we're at, like I've missed doing the videos and all that sort of stuff. And I've had a lot of fun, getting back into it slowly. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with my fantasy side. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do this week. Like I said, Hopgood is a trade out. I will be trading him because this rubbish of him being a 39-minute player is just absurd. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for him to come back on the field, and he just didn't. So maybe I pick up, I will start the buy planning a little bit. That's probably another thing. I've never really buy planned. I've kind of just played it by ear, and that's why I've done really well. So, maybe I'll do a little bit of buy planning, see where we end up. I know hook is a really tough position, and I know mids are going to also be really tough. And it's not going to help that I am actually trading out around 12 mid, but Hopgood is a lost cause, unfortunately. He's going to be a roaring buy really, really soon. when the coach realizes that he's one of their best players, but there's just too many mouths to feed in that Parramatta forward pack. And I thought it would be manageable if he could get 50 to 55, but 39 minutes, like I said earlier, he would have come on for Luca Moretti. I think that's kind of what I was hoping for. Although in that second half, Junior Paulo came on first, and then Jack Williams came on. So he's clearly not a minutes priority, and that's fine. It just means I've got to get off now. Misses next week, so maybe I try to get one of those mids. Maybe it's a Cam McInnes who I owned all year last year. He's a fun pick. He's maybe not the best scorer, but definitely fits the fun to watch category for me. It's not flashy, but just watching him on the field is such a nice watch. And maybe that's why last year was really fun for me because I owned him all year from round 1 to 27. So maybe jump on him. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do yet, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a fun pick. It's going to be a bit different, a bit rogue. And that's what I'm going. There's a few interesting people that I have my mind on before TLT. Obviously, this is being recorded on a Monday night, so can't really make too many crazy decisions when lockout's not even over or, the last game of the week hasn't even updated. So it's going to be pretty rogue. I might keep it to myself and I'll make a video next week. Just, and you'll be like, why did you do that? This is why you're doing so bad. And I'll go, I know. It's just, I'm doing something different. This is all still new to me as well. Normally, I don't really put myself out there doing videos and actually talking like this. I'm normally pretty reserved and keep it all to myself. I don't really even talk to people and tell them what I normally do throughout the week. So when people ask me what trades I'm doing, it's a bit different for me to actually talk about it because normally I keep it all in. So that'll probably do it for this video. Short and sweet. I don't know how long it went. I just kind of just rambled on for a little bit, and I'll give it all to Jamie and probably talk to you guys in the comments. So yeah, I'm not too sure when Jamie will post this as well. Obviously, he's over in Europe living it up. Pretty convenient that I went on a holiday overseas and he went on one the day before. He flew out the Sunday. I flew out the Monday morning. So pretty cool on that front. When Jamie posts this, I'll jump in the comments when I get the chance. If I'm at home, if I'm at work, you'll have to wait, obviously. And I'll jump in the comments. And if anyone wants to ask questions about my team, fantasy, trade advice, even how my holiday was, just anything, it's the only time I can really connect with everybody and get on and ramble. And whatever we talk about, I always try to reply to everybody, even if someone comments something not so great, which I haven't had too many yet. I've had a lot of really good feedback. So that's probably where I'll leave it. We've got football this week, heading into round 8. Then round 9 is Magic Round. I'm actually headed up there. I'm on the Central Coast, so I'll be flying up for Magic Round. First time I've ever been there. I'm really, really excited to see Jamie again and meet a lot of the boys that I've become really close with over the last few months and years, to be honest. So that's probably where I'll leave it, guys. If you have any comments or questions, leave it down below. That's where I always jump on, and I love constructive criticism. I love having a yarn and talking football and fantasy. So I leave all the other comments on the other videos to Jamie and Nikki in his Q&A, they're all been killing it while I was away. So that's probably where I'll leave it, guys. Have a good week, have a good day, and I'll see you next week.